Hello and welcome everybody to the Voices of Tech. I am your host Santiago with Marabou Partners, and I am super stoked on the guest that we have today. It's Arjun from Orcana.AI. Arjun, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, Santiago. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Doing well. Sun came out over here, so can't complain. In the office again. So yeah, Arjun. So for people who don't know or are unfamiliar, what is Orcana AI and what do you do?
Uh, Orcana AI is a data science platform
Hmm.
that helps automate uh, data-driven decisions and actions to help improve business operations.
Yeah.
So it's an agentic platform that can be customized. So your everyday decision making, especially the ones which are low stake and do need to use data for making these decisions, can be automated.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so how'd you come up with this idea to start a business?
Um, for about 15 years, we've been helping business leaders make sense out of data uh, to take decisions around: is my marketing working? Is my brand performing well when compared to competitors? What can I do to surpass the thresholds that our competitors have shared on this have set up? How is my sales team performing, etc. Right. So there are a lot of these questions around: how is the performance and what is driving this? How can I improve it? Various
Yeah.
versions of asking these questions, but a relatively more finite ways of answering them to identify what's working, what's not, how do we set it up, how to measure it more in a in a causal way, albeit not having experiments, etc. So after doing it so many times, I realized that there is a way to productize a lot of this analytics frameworks and then have a
Hmm.
layer of AI around it that can help with unstructured reasoning or natural language capabilities so that users are not like forced to stare at plots and charts and stitch a story themselves. And there is a storytelling aspect that AI can help with. So that like
Yeah.
really helped me build Arcana to address hopefully 60 to 80% of frequent data driven needs that businesses usually have.
60 to 80% is huge. And so I know Orkana has the AI in it now, but how are you integrating AI into Orkana?
Yeah, across various aspects. The first aspect is the reasoning part of it. There are a whole lot of times when there is a business effect that is seen on a metric, translating that into what are the possible causes that can happen and identifying and stitching together a way to uncover the need or the actual cause as a result of the context of the business, the industry that it's operating in, any other competitive signals. Maybe they were flooding and you were probably using a consumer app that helps with roofing services,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Right? To see a question, see what is the gamut of things that probably need to be assessed given the problem statement is where we're using AI. So infinite ways of asking a question or posing a situation to a finite ways of eventually diving into the data to bring it is where AI plays a big role. Because once you figure out that you want to pick one of these finite ways of answering the question, everything else runs based on our engine we've built ground up. So this is a fully
amazing.
deterministic, Python based, logic based set of functions that execute the analysis with full control. That way, so many situations that might come translate into a finite set of things that happen. The response is generated, which is then having another layer of AI which translates this into a story. Because you have a whole lot of summaries from the findings, but to stitch a story saying, you asked this question, this is what I saw, and here's why I think this happened, and here's what you can do to replay or change the course of it or address, is where
What?
AI
That's
can come in.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. And it just kind of simplifies it for the user a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And so are you industry agnostic with Orkana? Can go into any industry pretty much.
It has the capability to go into any industry, but learning from the beachhead example to ensure that you have a good place to start with so that you improve the product and its performance really well. We have chosen like commercial pharma as the first industry,
Nice.
telecom as the second priority industry. we have both like heavy number of paid POCs going on and current customers rolled out for these two. And eventually we see how it can eventually translate into many more such problem statements. But for now, starting small and slow.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And the riches are in the niches, as they say. You speak to everyone and you kind of speak to no one at the same time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in regards to the clients that you've worked with, do you find a lot of them before they've been involved with Orkana have a good understanding about their cost per acquisition, the critical data metrics that they need to be evaluating?
They have a good sense of evaluating these metrics or tracking them, but they
Hmm.
don't have a great sense of what is driving them. So,
Ah, gotcha.
so they are able to measure, but they're only able to look at that measurement and say, hey, can I make best guess possible to control this metric? And that
Hmm.
guesswork goes away with Arcana because it just translates the entire mechanism of how a company is built or how a company functions as a series of metrics working as gears. You change spend somewhere, you move acquisition somewhere, from that paid customers come somewhere in a different channel. There are different set of paid customers that come in who have a different conversion rate or revenue per user, etc. So just
Yeah.
converting this into a mechanism is what Arcana does. And then you help saying, you've been tracking CAC, but you did not probably have a mechanism to influence it predictably. With Arcana, you'll be able to do that a lot more dynamically and in a democratized manner.
Amazing. So I'm curious, Arjun, what are your clients saying after they've worked with you? Like after they've had a good in-depth look at their business.
They are able to put a number to the value Arcana has driven. Our
Yeah.
use cases have end goals saying reduce CAC by X% in the accounts where Arcana is deployed when compared to places where Arcana is not deployed. They are doing this test to see how much is or how much are Arcana's recommendations really helping move the needle for metrics that matter, and the success criteria is purely based on this test and control with Arcana, without Arcana world, to then say, whoa, we love the product, we know you're charging X, but we are able to see at least 6X return coming from there just as a result of optimizing our spends. So let's do more
Wow.
channels, let's do more departments. So yeah,
Yeah, increase the volume in that area.
yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm also curious, man. What are the full capabilities of Orkana?
Um, Three key categories, you can say. The first is it grabs attention. It says, here's a
Hmm.
metric anomaly. Here's what I have seen that could be the most potential root cause as a hypothesis. That's the first setup, where it grabs the
Hmm.
attention. The second is it helps strategically identify what to do with it. It comes up with a slight recommendation, but it also has a simulator to say, what if I increase spend so much? If I turn my meta spend by, reduce it by 50%, what are the downstream effects that I might see? What else should I control for to do this action? So this is a place where you can simulate, you can identify what are the things you can change. And the third is it goes and acts, which is once you've
Wow.
identified this and says, yes, this is the new updated plan, it collaborates, it documents, it creates Slack groups or shares this change in plan on Slack groups, also goes and updates spends on channels that it has access to. Where you like, oh, change these spends, it's going to go unlock a Google Sheet or maybe a
Hmm.
vendor sheet that people are using and update those spend numbers there, which is probably yet another coordination and updation that needs to happen that people are involved in. But now you can just close the entire loop from saying, grab attention, know what to do, and do it. All of this for a workflow using Arcana.
Wow, that's amazing. So, like, say if I was, like me with my agency, like I see like one channel is working really well, and like you're like, hey, let's increase spend there. It's also going to tell you like, hey, if you increase spend there, you're also going to need like a new sales rep or a new SDR or something like that.
Yes, yes. It
Wow,
basically
that's
is gonna,
amazing.
yeah, it's gonna run down the downstream uh, implications of a change and say if this happens by this time, this will be where the peak will happen, and there'll be a clog that comes in because you'll have so many stale leads because you won't be able to act on them. So probably control for that in this much amount of time, etc. So it's always doing that downstream analysis to say this change doesn't stop here, But to actually convert that into dollars, you need to do these three things. And I will set up these reminders, keep checking, and create Jira tickets to ensure that these are taken
Nice.
into consideration.
Nice. And is this all handled by the software, or is there any level of consulting that goes into it as well?
Early on, there is a good amount of consulting. We call it onboarding, where we try and
Yeah.
really codify what key metrics, business rules, strategic priorities, and levers the company operates within. And then it is all product. It is all the platform that talks to different like Slack or Jira or Confluence tabs, listen to Zoom meetings, updates Google Docs, create slides, etc. As like a workflow enabler across an entire department.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome, man. Awesome. And so, I grew up on the ocean, grew up on an island in Texas, and I love the logo, the name. So I'm curious, Arjun, how'd you come up with the name Orkana?
So Orcana is two pieces, Orcas and Analytics, a combination of that.
Mm-hmm.
Orcas is the reason Orcas is because they are apex predators that are
Mm-hmm.
extremely intelligent, and the reason why they are so good is because they have really good communication strategies and signals that help in coordinating attacks. So they have like
Yes.
coordinated attack as a result of great communication skills. And
Mm-hmm.
I envision companies to have that level of communication and signals being circulated around so that the attack on a problem that is put forth for a business happens fast and in a more efficient manner. So that's how we are envisioning Orkana as an enabling the learnings from everything Orcas, using data as the key way to signal and get all of these teams together to eventually achieve your goals. I know long answer, I'll
Wow.
get a better one, but yeah, that's Arcana AI.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And so I'm curious, like maybe not replace isn't the best word, but what department does Orkana serve the best in a business, or even replace if it could?
It enables a lot of workflows in the growth and marketing field, especially in the
Nice.
mobile, yeah, especially in the telecom industry. Sorry, there's a dog here. Give me one second.
Hey, no worries.
Yes, so it enables a lot of growth and marketing workflows in the telecom industry. And in the pharma industry, it's more around customer analytics or sales
Nice.
analytics, which is the commercial side of pharma.
Nice. So what's next for you in the next 6 to 12 months? What are you most focused on in improving in your business?
Really diving deep into delivering value. That's where we feel the essence of products like these are. If there are 10 steps between an insight and an action, we want to enable Orkana to be taking all those 10 steps because that's when efficiency is actually delivered.
Yeah.
We'll have aspects about human in the loop, etc. But we want to go really deep to say, hey, all of these decision making that needs to happen to make this particular metric stay in control, let Orkana start handling this. And that's the thing we are most excited about. We're already like we started off with saying, oh, we give really high quality results, to now saying we are giving really good recommendations and actions, to now saying we are going to address workflows so that
Wow.
efficiency is really delivered with deep penetration on the context and enabling across platforms.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And Arjun, this is the last question for our podcast, and I would be doing a disservice to the viewers if I didn't ask this one. But what advice would you have to any person who wants to be a founder, who sees a pain in the world, has an idea, and wants to turn it into a solution? What advice would you give to that person?
Uh, be patient and resilient because things are going to take a lot longer than what you anticipated for an idea to convert into piece of code that someone might react to. It will take
Yeah.
a lot longer for people to look at it and actually give you feedback that's helpful, and eventually from them to get you your first dollar. So
Yeah.
it's the process, it's grueling, it's long, and for founders who are starting this journey, see if you can spend a decent amount of time to find a co-founder before you jump into this, because you would need some sounding board, you would need someone to motivate you on days where you don't want to get off your bed, because there are going to be days like that. I was very
Yeah.
lucky to find an amazing co-founder,
That's
uh,
amazing.
who was my roommate, batchmate, classmate from Berkeley, and we like really jammed a lot together as friends as well, and project partners. So do that. Like, get yourself a co-founder. You're going to de-risk your startup from the very first step.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, Arjun, thank you so much for hopping on, telling us a little bit about the industry, about your company, and about the future of where business is heading. So it was a pleasure having you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Santiago. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.